Oh, I think the season we had, you go into any game, confident. We've got a full list to pick from. They're healthy and fit, so you should approach it. You should embrace it and approach it with confidence. So no, tomorrow's a really exciting game for us, and we're really looking forward to the challenge. So yeah, absolutely, you want to be confident going into finals.
Yeah, what's the key to the one line that reappears about Adelaide is that sometimes it can be too few being asked to do too much. How can the load be spread to make sure you do get a strong contribution from everyone?
Oh, I think finals not only brings the best out of players, but your point of too much left to too few, you're not going to win a final if that happens. So our players are fully aware of the contribution that's needed, the roles they need to play, and they know that every second in a final counts. And they've been well prepped. Sando's had them. Their understanding of the game, what he wants them to do, has been very good. So they're very excited about tomorrow's game, and it's about playing the game now. So we need contributions from all players, and sometimes those contributions are not necessarily measured in stats. I think in finals, the pressure acts, the tackling, the chasing, the spoiling, those things that create turnovers are going to be really important because their pressure points to win the ball back. So we need to be on our game on that. So those types of contributions are going to be really vital, particularly in the heat of the game.
See, they spoke earlier in the week about every player has a different feel for how they want to final. What's the best way to deal with those who've never played in it, the issue of stage fright and those sort of things?
Yeah, I think experience is one thing, but on the other hand, players who haven't played finals, they don't know what they don't know, so therefore they can approach the game with shackles off, the straitjacket off them, and play the game as they have. Sometimes that unbridled enthusiasm from youth is exactly what you need in finals, where there's no ceiling set on them. They don't know how far they can go, and they're prepared to do everything they can to find out. So that's the other side of it. So no, our players have been well prepared. We've got good leaders at the footy club who've spoken to our young players and mentioned their finals experience, but also the lead up, keep routines basic, but also keep them familiar. So a lot of areas have been covered in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It hasn't just been left up to this week.
Dean, Walker and Vince look like they both got through okay. They're absolutely 100%.
Yeah, no, Tex and Bernie, they're fine. They're in good nick. They're both really keen, and they're excited about playing tomorrow. And they're both, I think, during the year, and certainly Bernie early in the year, they're big game players. When we've called on Tex's experience, his kick goals at clutch times. I think you need to go back to the NAB with Bernie's performance there, and he's played well in some big games as well. So they're experienced, but they're classy players, and tomorrow's really set up for those two and the other 20 that'll be out there.
Then obviously you come with big ends, the Swans lose Grundy as well. Does that really tip the balance in your favour?
You've always got to be careful in the sense of allowing what happens in opposition team to affect you. Grundy's a very good player. If we underestimate LRT, if he goes back, then it'll be on our heads. There's 22 players, and they're a very competitive team. I mean, you're talking the 1 and 2 contested ball teams. There's not going to be a lot of difference between them. And it'll be those that take the opportunities when they get the ball to the uncontested area. And therefore, both forward lines are going to be reliant on kicks, ball movement inside 50 that's unpressured. Not a lot of that happens in finals. So it's still going to be contested around between the arcs, but it's certainly still going to be contested in the forward 50. So I don't think they're going to see a lot of easy marks taken. So the contest is still going to be there, regardless of who we play against, and I think that's going to be the nature of the game. So whether Grundy's out or not, that's irrelevant. They're going to have a very good player down there playing. So respect the opposition.
Just following on from that, Dean, the fact that you've I think it's 14 players kicked 10 goals or more this season gives you an idea even spread up forward. Does that become even more vital given that it's not going to be sweet and easy going in?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. We haven't been reliant on one player, and again the contribution from all our players, not only in the forward line but to the middle of the ground, to be goal kickers or guys who set goals up, is going to be vital tomorrow. That's a good point.
Then you assess the opposition. Sydney, 3 losses in the past 4. Does it mean anything, or is it the way they've been playing that's fallen away, or is it just the teams they've been playing?
I don't think it's the way that they've fallen away. I think it's the fact that with so few opportunities. I mean, look at the first quarter against the Hawks; they were absolutely outstanding. The Hawks were very good in the second quarter. In the second half, it was an absolute arm wrestle. The first half, I thought the first half against Geelong last week was very good. I thought they were in the contest. They had a couple of set shots, I think, in the third quarter that they missed. But they were right in the contest there, down at Geelong. So when you get to the finals, the things that separate teams from winning and losing, particularly how the game's been played this year, is when you talk about the number of contested possessions that happens during the game. And in the, if you're thinking of a frame of football, goes to a contest, goes to a contest, goes to a contest, and then there might be a chance for the ball to get to an uncontested situation, ball gets outside, and then even then it's in a contest. So that's the extra numbers coming around the stoppage, extra numbers around the footy. So they do that very well. For us, we just got to make sure that our big blokes compete. When we get the ball inside our forward 50, we need our big blokes to compete. That's their role, and our small players underneath them hopefully will be the difference between the two teams.
Then we all talk about Adam Goods being a match winner, and that's a proven fact, but those outside running types, Hanbury, Jeddah, is that where Sydney's maybe improved the most in recent times, just that bit of outside running pace?
Yeah, McGlynn's an incredibly effective player. I mean, Jack, even though he's seen as an inside mid, he certainly spreads really hard and he gets forward. O'Keefe's an outstanding footballer. He's a big time player, O'Keefe. So, yeah, they've got some really big grunters in the middle of the ground, and so have we. And then you add a bit of speed on the outside, which they've introduced, particularly this year. They're covering both areas particularly well. So, we compare to us. I think McKay from a wing half back's also given us speed on the outside. A Douglas from half forward also gives us speed. So the two teams match up, incredibly well, I think. I mean, the difference is going to be between, who under fatigue makes the best decisions, and we expect that to be us.
And is it fair to say at the end of the day, it's just efficiency of inside 50s? Is that the bottom line?
I think the game is going to be about when teams are very fatigued, what decisions they're going to make when they're under fatigue. That is the skills, that is the decisions they make. That includes the kicks inside 50. But both teams are going to get fatigued, and that's when the decision making then is going to be at its crucial. And I think also the other thing that's going to be important is goal kicking is going to be very, very important in finals. I mean, who's actually got the opportunity to score from difficult situations or difficult positions, but also improve their goal kicking. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Just on that, in terms of that fatigue aspect, I mean, you obviously came from behind to roll the Swans up there earlier this year. We saw the Swans a couple of weeks ago, also late in the game, look like the winners against the Hawks and get rolled. Is that an area that you really think that you can push home come late in the game?
No, I don't think it's a late in the game thing. I think fatigue happens during the. You can be fatigued. You can feel fatigued after the first 4 or 5 minutes just because of the intensity of the game. It's how you repeat effort that's going to be the difference between the two teams. I think both teams are evenly matched. I think from a physical fitness point of view, they're both evenly matched. The game's going to come down to will and effort, and who's going to stay in the contest longer. And I think you've seen that in the last 3 weeks with big games and the finals in the last previous years. It's going to be a brutal, fierce game. And
how's Brendan approached this game? He sort of pumped up the showdowns during the year. Has he taken a lower key approach to this one?
No, Sando's routine's been exactly the same. He's the coaching, the setups, the structure, and everything have been pretty as normal routine. I mean, you got a guy who's had some success at Geelong who's very familiar with the finals in the previous years. So the routine's been good. The players are confident in what they're doing. He's been outstanding. He's been outstanding for the whole year from day one, and now the big game starts. A different season starts tomorrow. So we've got to where we have. We've earned the right to play a home final. That's all we've done. Tomorrow will be the test.
And Dean, a lot of people externally at least seem to think the Crows haven't got much of a chance. Do you use that as motivation, or do you just shut that out completely?
No, it's just someone else's opinion.
So nothing to worry about?
No, we worry about what we do inside the club.
Just on your role this year, Dean, and I know you're probably going to be reluctant to talk it up too much, but you seem to be quietly in the background. How have you found it just being, I suppose, able to just concentrate on the footy and maybe not do as much of the away from the ground stuff, the media and all that sort of jazz?
Oh no, just quietly go about what I'm expected to do, and I do whatever I can, whatever the club wants me to do. I've always done, so I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's nice to be in front of the media today. It's really enjoyable. Look, this is part of the game. I mean, the game's big. The game's getting bigger and bigger, and we need to have access. You know, coaches need to be accessible to the media. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for all our coaches to be involved. I mean, you mentioned Brenton before, but our coaches, our assistant coaches, have been outstanding during the year. You know, from a development point of view, all the way through to their roles on game day and during the week, they've been terrific. Coaching group works really well together. My role is to support them. My role is to do whatever Sando wants me to do and assist him wherever I can. And whatever it is he wants me to do, I'll do. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic year to this point, but I'm like everyone else. You know, you're in the game for tomorrow's game, and tomorrow's game is very important.
Senior coaching and in particular the Port Adelaide job, just giving you history there. One, have they contacted you? Two, is it even on your radar?
I haven't been called. I don't expect to get called, and I'm sitting here as a very, very happy coach of the Adelaide Footy Club.
Dan, who gains or loses the most by such a big gap between the last game in May?
Us or the Swans? You don't lose playing in the final. That's what they're about. The scoreboard will be the determinant of whether you win or lose, but every player gains from that opportunity to play. So.
I mean, in terms of preparing it, in the sense that that game is incredibly, any 5-point game you would argue is one decision here or there. Huge gap between May and this game. So who's got the most to gain from preparing from that game, learning from it?
It seems so long ago, you know. What's happened since then to where we are now? There's a lot of things that have changed, particularly for us, and I think also for the Swans as well. So I don't think you can look back on that game. I mean, you can look back on it and pick certain things out of it. But tomorrow's contest will be about the next contest. So I don't think either team loses or wins from it. I think there are things in that game where we showed great resilience, I think, to hang on and hang in that last probably 2.5 minutes. It all got back to, you know, Stiffy John Cox's kick. You know, if you look at the vision, it just touches the pad. Then they've got a kick in, and then we set up really well to defend their kick in. So those sorts of things stick in players' minds. The situations in games. But I don't think anyone wins or loses that. I don't think.
Significantly better from that game?
I think our playing group is better since then. Yeah.
Does Sydney benefit from having potentially a tougher run into September than you guys?
Oh, that'll all be decided on tomorrow's game, probably.
And you said that obviously Walker and Vince are good to go. No other problems out there today with any players?
No, everyone's fit and healthy, and looking forward to tomorrow.